Guys, true story. I have been a NordVPN customer long before they were a show sponsor. It's the easiest way to protect yourself online, and it doesn't slow down your connection. NordVPN is privacy-oriented, so your data is always protected by next-generation encryption. But NordVPN isn't just your standard VPN. Threat protection shields you from malware, trackers, and ads. With NordVPN, I enjoy a quicker, safer, and more private internet, and you can too. And that's not all. With NordPass, Password Manager, your digital life is simplified with your passwords all stored close at hand. And with the premium feature, the Data Breach Scanner, NordVPN will scan the internet and make sure your sensitive data has not leaked. Now you can purchase both NordPass and NordVPN at the same checkout. One account protects up to 6 devices, and with a 24/7 customer support, their advanced software is unbeatable. Try NordVPN risk-free for 30 days with a money-back guarantee. Go to nordvpn.com/Sonnen to save 61% on the 2-year plan plus 4 extra months. Or just click on the link below. Gilbert versus Belal. Okay, this thing is official. Now, there's a few things to unpack here. That's a great fight. That's the one that we were hoping for. That's the one that we predicted. These guys kind of built it themselves, went on social media. Dana announced, right, Gilbert's lighting him up, and it was probably going to be the guy get this thing buttoned up on Monday. So we had a few of these clues. I mean, I got to tell you, this would normally be where I was taking a victory lap, where I would be pumped and I would be excited. Let's start with how we got here. Okay, so Gilbert's willing to do the fight, even wants to do it. There's an opportunity, wants to go out and take it. Now, one thing that Gilbert is attempting to do is to show the organization how much he can be counted on. I love that about Gilbert, and so do you guys. I just want Gilbert paid off for that. I want that to be rewarded. Okay, you've got Belal. Belal wants to step forward, take the opportunity, show the organization how much he can be counted on. I love that. You love that. I want that rewarded for Belal. And the reason I bring this to you is because now we have 2 guys. What are they fighting for? Colby is the #1 contender. So these guys are going to go out and fight. The 2 guys that you can count on the most, the 2 guys that are the most reliable, not only for the organization, but for the fans, are now going to eliminate. One of them gets eliminated. I've never quite seen a fight that is about which one of us is the most dependable. You're extremely dependable, more than the other 700 guys under contract, and so am I. Let's fight, and one of us gets eliminated. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't love that. Now, I would still be very into it. As soon as they got squirrely on this fight and changed, I mean, it's tough, right? And I'm not a prude about these things. I am never a prude about a competition or guys doing it on short notice. As soon as you change the rules of a fight, it's tough. I can't say it any nicer. I could say it a hell of a lot meaner. I'm trying not to. When they made this fight 5 rounds, it's more than disappointing. More than that. You're now messing with our sport that has extremely limited rules as it is. And I always hear fans go, oh, this is great, I get more. You know, you're a scumbag, just so you understand. Nobody would ever ask you to work 70% more. And you wouldn't like it if they did. And if somebody said, but you're so good at your job, and I just enjoy seeing it so much, you're not going to care. You're going to think you asking me and encouraging me and now even forcing me contractually to go and work 70% more. You're not going to like it. But moreover, and to the sport, right? If I hold a football game, I'd say, but we're not kicking. There's no extra points, at least not that you could kick for. You go, well, that's not football. And I go, well, it's not that big of a deal. People aren't really here for the kicks. That's not really the thing here. So I'm gonna do everything that they're here for. We're still gonna tackle and do 4 quarters. We're gonna run all over. And we're gonna have a winner and a loser. We're just not gonna do the kicks. What's the big deal? Big deal is you're now not doing what it is we do. That's what the big deal is. Why would you change anything? And then, in case you guys are just wondering how we got to this point, Gilbert Gilbert wanted to do the fight, offered to do it once at 170 pounds. Belal says, I'm your Huckleberry. We need to do it at $175. Gilbert says, no way, got to be at 170. Now, we can only guess why Gilbert wanted to be at 170. Belal didn't understand. Belal said, what are you talking about? You just fought. It's in 2 weeks. I'm in Ramadan right now. What do you care if we're both more comfortable 5 pounds? You're not at 170 now. You're over 175. You've got to, I'm saving you 5 pounds as much as I'm trying to save myself. Gilbert says, it fights at 170. Now, I would fully agree with Gilbert there. These are 70 pounders. You fight at 170. You want your ranking to affect 170. You want to follow the sport the way that the sport is. I fully understand that. But the remedy to do that by Belal was, okay, I'll come down to 70, add 2 rounds. Do you see the problem? I mean, if you don't see it, you don't see it. If you don't get this, then you just don't get this. But you now have 2 guys that are fighting in a non-championship match, and we just changed the fight. That's not what we do. That's not what this is. This is not about who can win between Gilbert and Belal for 25 minutes, any more than it's about who can win between Gilbert and Belal for 35 minutes. Any more than it's who can win between Gilbert and Belal for 55 minutes. That's not what we do. That's not what this is. And I got to tell you, I just don't like it when that gets changed because I don't understand it. And it does come from somewhere. I mean, I'll share with you, as one of the leaders in the grappling industry, one of the bigger problems that we have is everybody that starts a grappling event, the very first thing they do is they create their own rules. And then they wonder why grappling can't get on SportsCenter, why Levitard won't talk about it, why Jim Rome has never invited anybody, including Bachecha or Gordon Ryan, on, because they don't know what the hell he's talking about. How can he? How could you possibly have a conversation about jiu-jitsu when there's 50 organizations doing 50 different rules? You don't have a real sport. It's fake. That's not an industry. You want to know why jiu-jitsu doesn't get a page in Sports Illustrated where they rank the top 25 guys? Because you don't have a rule set. You can't do a ranking. You can't have a GOAT list. You can't have a of this time list. You can't have a current catch weight ranking. You don't have the same rules. Basketball, on the other hand, you guys don't even have to speak the same language to play. One could speak Chinese and one can speak English and they can go play basketball. Inside of this line, 2 points. Free throw line, 1 point, 2 shots. Outside of this line, 3 points for the bucket. We all get it. But it's extremely important that the same criteria is followed or you're not playing basketball. You're doing something else. So the idea that we're going to make up a weight class that doesn't exist of 175 pounds, there is a history within our sport of doing that. It's called a catch weight. We all kind of understand the circumstances, right? And while predetermined is a little bit weird, we see it on short notice all the time. Guy gets to the scale, he doesn't make weight. We take his purse, we take his fine, and we got to move on the next day, right? Number one, first rule of showbiz, the show must go on. I do understand these things. But stepping in and manipulating the rounds, you're doing something else now. Do you guys care? Do you think a number one contendership should be solved? Do you think a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of prestige, do you think that should be solved in a practice room spar between Belal and Gilbert? Your answer is no. Okay, great. Do you think it should be solved in 5 minutes of competitive fighting under the unified rules? No, you don't. Do you think the number one contendership in the contest should be solved under 2 rounds of fighting under the unified rules? Since it's short notice, the guys already shit. Come on, we're gonna change the rounds. We're gonna give them a couple of pounds. Doesn't that make sense to you? No, it doesn't. None of that would be okay with you. Why would it be okay to go the other way? I mean, it's just one of these. It's one of these spots. It's one of these really. It's one of these spots. So they're going to go out and fight, I guess. I read the unified rules, particularly within that state. It says that a title fight is 5 rounds. That's what the rules of that state says. But this isn't a title fight, and they're going 5 rounds. So the executive director of the state has made an exception. With what authority?